Today we're going to be looking at a new product from Durston Tools, a nice, simple, easy, straightforward and inexpensive way to stretch plain rings. And when I say plain rings, I mean rings like wedding bands with no stone set in them. My name's Andrew Berry and welcome to At the Benches YouTube channel. So I picked up, they're called ring stretching mandrels. They are very small little things. There's the ring I want to stretch. And they come in this box. I'm going to put a cloth down, use this one here, because they are a little bit on the greasy side. They've just been delivered, and these are those ring stretching mandrels, as you can see. When you buy them, they're going to be completely covered with oil in this case, so I'd advise you to clean the oil off. A little bit of oil left on them is going to be good, but just take off the excess. The set that I've bought here, we've got 3 different sized mandrels, as you can see. I'll take them off the cloth so you can see better now. There we go. So we've got 3 different sized mandrels, and they will enable you to stretch plain rings, plain wedding bands, and usually you have a large piece of equipment with a big splined sort of mandrel. You put the rings down, you pull the handle and it stretches them. That's great, but it is quite costly. But Durston have come up with quite a small, efficient way that enables you to do this virtually sat at the bench. They even say you can sort of size rings on the go. I'm not really too sure whether you can sort of take these with you, because you still need, I think, a vise to put these in to hold on to them while you try and stretch. So I think they're a bit optimistic saying you can stretch rings on the go with them, but we're going to have a go and see what we can do. I've got a very small wedding band here, a nice silver, simple, it's about 4mm wide. This band is size P. It's actually an it's a leading edge P. I never like to work to leading edge. I always like to work to center of the bands, but that's a leading edge P, and I'm going to take this up just about a size. But what you must always make sure is that when you come to stretch a plain band like this, that it is nicely and evenly annealed. This, I think, has just come from the manufacturers, so I would not trust that it has been annealed. If you are making this up yourself, you'll know that your rings have been annealed. And obviously, as we're going to be stretching this ring, you've got to make sure that your solder joint is going to be perfect. Or in this instance, this is a commercially available band, and these are nice and seamless, meaning there are no seams within the band, so we can stretch these quite easily. So make sure that the ring is going to be nicely annealed. Because if it isn't, you're going to have a hard job trying to stretch. So that's nicely annealed there. I'm going to let that cool down for a few seconds and then just quickly pop it into the acid. Put it back on top of the block, it'll cool down quite quick that way. So that's the ring that we've got. Now, as I said, the kit comes with 3 different sized mandrels for obviously different size rings, different size perhaps jump rings. And we can simply slide the ring down the mandrel until we get the right one. See, this one's quite a large one. I'll put all the information and the specifications down below the film here. But this one fits on quite nicely. Now the kit that I've got here has 3 separate mandrels, but you can buy the mandrels separately. It also comes with a nice size Allen key as well. Now, I think as we are physically going to be turning this, I would have liked the handle, the Allen key, to be slightly longer to enable this to get a slightly more of a leverage on the ring. It just depends on how thick the ring is. So how does it work? I can get it off, I'll tell you now. So we've got the splines on this mandrel. It's split into 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the center here, we've got a bolt that is threaded through the center of the mandrel. And as we tighten up the bolt with the Allen key, what happens is that as we tighten, it's going to force out these splines. So it's going to need some force, and that's why I wish this handle was just a slightly bit bigger. You can always get around that by getting a short length of copper pipe just to put over that to give you that little bit more leverage. Also, this end here really does have to be put into a vise, because you cannot hold onto this device and expect to try and turn it. You need to have some sort of resistance in this hand, and because we've got a lot of oil on these mandrels, it's going to turn around in my hand quite easily. So you either have a small little bench vise, I've usually got one here, but the guys have pinched it for downstairs in the workshop, but we've got a larger 4-inch vise over on that bench over there. So we're going to pop this in and we're going to see how this goes. So before we do this, it's cooled down nicely. It's a leading edge, a size P. So let's see if we can take this up to a leading edge, a size Q, a size, which I think should be nice and realistic. So let's pop over to the other bench, put this into the vise, and let's see how this works. All right, so here is the vise that we're going to be using. It's a nice 4-inch vise. It's nice and sturdy. If you are using a small little bench vise that's attached to your bench, just be careful with it, because it may not be strong enough for the power and the force required to stretch the rings. But I would always go for something like this, a nice 4-inch vise. So we can put that into place, and we can tighten that up like that. Nice. Then the ring goes on the end. Let's just make sure that this particular one, the mandrel, is completely sort of closed. And the mandrel is stepped. So each of these divisions, which is around about 7 or 8 millimeters, is flat. So when we enlarge it, we're going to make sure that the band is not tapered, that you often find if you have these upright ring stretchers, but we will be turning it over just to double check. Let's get the mandrel to hand as well, because we're going to be using that to see if it is going to stretch nicely. So as I said, we're going to put that into the end of the Allen key there, and we're going to turn until we get some resistance. Now, as I said, ideally I would like to have seen this handle a little bit longer to give me more leverage. But as I said, if you've got a tube, if you've got something like a copper tube, I've got a hydraulic press with a 3-section handle. I can use one of those handles to put over that if need be. So let's put it into there, and now let's just turn the handle, the Allen key, and as we're turning it, as you can see, the nut is going inside and it is forcing out these splines. So I've gone in quite a bit. I've no idea if that's made the ring any bigger. Let's just have a quick look. So we said leading edge P. It is still a leading edge P. So I think it's going to have to go in a lot more than what I just did then. And let's screw this in. And I can just about see the splines starting to open. So like a normal wedding band stretcher, it is a matter of a little and often. Do a little bit, come back, try it, put it on the gauge. So yeah, we're a little bit bigger than a P. I'd say a leading edge P1/2. So it has actually gone up. Let's go that little bit further. Make sure that's straight on the mandrel there. And let's, and as you can see, it is a little bit awkward with a short Allen key, and perhaps it would have been easier on this side, but I wanted the camera to see what we were doing. Take that along, and let's try again. Yeah, we are literally a fraction off, a little bit further, and we will have that up the one size. And there we now have the ring with a leading edge Q. So we've taken the ring up one size. If we want to take up the ring any more sizes, what I'd suggest is that you go back to your bench and you anneal it again. And what you may find now is if you do want to take up that ring just that little bit further again, it may fit up onto the next lot of splines as well. There we go, it fits up onto the next section, which enables you then to make the ring bigger again, perhaps another 2 sizes bigger, but you do need to put the device in the bench vise. The statement saying that you can resize rings on the go, I think, is a bit of a bold claim, but you do really need to have the stretching mandrel securely fastened down. There's no way you'd be able to hold this in your hand and try and turn this. That's something that is not physically going to be possible. You know, I go to the gym most days, and I got strong hands. I've been in this trade last 38 years, and there's no way I would be able to hold on to this and try and turn that to stretch that ring any size at all. So let's get back onto the bench and have a closer look again. So all in all, it is a nice, cheap, inexpensive way of stretching rings nice and evenly. Yeah, you can come along with your mandrel, put it upon your mandrel and tap it bigger, tap it down the mandrel, but what you're going to get, the ring is not necessarily going to be straight because you're forcing the ring down in separate sections around the outside of the ring, and the ring will be slightly wavy. This way, it keeps the ring in the same plane and just enlarges it with the opening up of the splines on the mandrels. So yeah, it's good. If you don't want to go to the expense of an upright wedding ring stretcher that do cost several £100s, I'm not quite sure off the top of my head now, Durston sell them. Again, I'll put that information down below. If you don't want to go to that expense, these little ring stretching mandrels are going to be ideal for just taking up the rings a couple of sizes. And also, what if you have another closer look at the ring, you can see there is no marks, there are no deformations of the ring. It's not thinner on one side where it's stretched more. It's evenly stretched around the whole ring. And because, as we stated, the mandrels are stepped, it means the rings aren't going to be tapered when you stretch them. So all in all, a nice, simple, cheap, fairly quick, efficient way of enlarging wedding rings. My name's Andrew Berry for At The Bench's YouTube channel. Take care, see you next time. Bye-bye.